Eatings on Chappers.
Hey everybody.
I'm Rabir.
I'm Ben.
Dave.
And we're about to do something that 3.5% of people asked us, and we thought we'd deliver to you because that's what Dorje is all about. We're going to be doing a running commentary over the tunes from the Catalyst EP. That was actually quite a pleasant call.
That was great.
None of the other song titles are going to be anything like as good as that.
There's two, maybe three vibes that I was thinking about when the riffs came together. One was Ruben from the Race Car Backwards era. I was definitely feeling that when coming up with some of the parts. And Shutter Speed by Carnival was another bit. Basically, the main riff and the bit that bit was like Ruben. Verse was kind of Shutter Speed. And then I remember when we did the pre-chorus, I had this riff thing and Rob was like, can you do like a Nuno thing and do a descending thing? And then it turned into the pre-chorus riff. And then that we did in Trowbridge at the rehearsal space.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
years ago.
It is quite an old Dorje tune.
It
used to be called Beast, and then it turned to Jabberwocky, and then it turned to Written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was called Beast because that's kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah.
I quite liked Jabberwocky.
Yeah.
That was a good name for a song.
And we had it as a demo for ages with just the chorus vocal, and that was it.
Yes. Guitar-wise, we used the Les Paul. What else did we use?
I used my Relic, and we had Marshall and Orange, and basically it was a combination of that. We used this PRS here.
Yes, the recording PRS, Custom 24.
So yeah, how was the drum track review?
Well, actually, this track we didn't do this one first, even though it's first on the EP. So I was quite warmed up into the tracking process, and Matt Hornby was actually sat behind the desk for part of the tracking of this. Don't know if you remember, but
oh, yeah.
you had to go out for the day. Yeah, and I was tracking at the Cove.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know who Matt Hornby is the managing director for Chapman Guitars. He's also a guitar player in Hatton Manor.
Why was beer not working?
I don't know.
No, beer wasn't there. You had to go out, and I was like, right, I'm going to get this tracked.
I think it was filming Anderton's videos in Guildford.
Maybe. And so so Matt was just behind the desk, and
Random.
Yeah. And so I remember like the verses, the pre-chorus, and the choruses were tracked with like just Matt overseeing on the desk. And also I remember on this track, I broke my big crash cymbal, just kind of actually tracking this tune.
Ben's quite an aggressive tracker, aren't you, mate?
He went for it so hard that he broke his cymbal.
Yeah, and it's a big thick crash cymbal, so we were screwed. And so so we emergency ordered a new crash, and I got a big Meinl Byzance crash.
How's that going to help you?
Yeah, I've cracked that as well.
Dave,
taking a chunk out about that big.
Tell us about the slap bass part in the middle of the song and how that came about.
I don't know how that came about. I think you just...
I remember we were talking about Way of the Skunk. Was it Way of the Skunk? Way of the Stink by Tunguska. Is that how it goes?
No, Go Like the Stink.
Go Like the Stink.
Yeah, Tunguska Butterfly, yeah, that was it. I think you basically just said, I think a bass line like that would be sick.
And then you just did it.
I think I just did it, yeah. And it's probably my favourite bass line on the record. To be honest, I think this tune, for as much as it's probably the simplest, I just really like the way it grooves and stuff.
Where were you coming from vocally on this track?
You mean lyrically?
Both.
Okay, so lyrically, this I don't normally discuss what the lyrics mean, but in this instance, it was literally a dream that I had that I'd written down, and it was a dream I'd had about writing a book that taught me how to take over the world and make it a peaceful place. And so I'm kind of recounting what it felt like in this dream. You know, in those dreams where you're able to fly and soar through a landscape, and it's like a freedom dream rather than really like running through slow treacle, or you can't get away from something. This was a complete freedom dream, and I was just like flying through this endless like landscape in a dream and seeing all these issues. Imagine a giant hairy flying chappers, and I'm just describing what I saw in the dream, line by line, really. Vocally, I was really channeling a bit of Mr. Wonder, a bit of Stevie.
Bit of Steve.
Steve Wonder.
It sounds so weird calling him Steve Wonder.
It does, yeah.
Even better, Stephen.
And
Stephen Wonder.
yeah, I really like Stevie Wonder. Obviously, his style is something that's very unique to him, and I can't do. But just feeling the spirit and the way he sings really helped me a great deal with this track, and felt good. Dave just flung his nut at me.
I think the best thing about Written as a song is the bounce.
Yeah, the groove and the bounce.
And that was something that when we were tracking it, all of us had to do on our own individually, is recreate the bounce that we do when we play it live. And I think that was captured quite well. And the sound of the song is like large drums and very aggressive sounding guitars and bass.
Yeah.
I like the signature fuzz sound at the beginning of the track, Beer.
That was Blue ML3 traditional coil split with the Buffalo Germanium Effects fuzz.
It's a great sound.
Yeah. And it Buffalo Effects Germanium fuzz, and it sounds immense.
It's great. I remember when I walked into the studio and you guys had tracked that, and I heard that for the first time.
Your face smeared with Gurn.
Smeared with Gurn.
I think one of my favourite grooves or like groove rhythm sections in the whole EP is in this track, and it's the middle bit with the
halftime shuffle.
Yeah, the bit with Dave's slap thing, and it's just like it's just this. It as a drummer, it feels so good just to sit and lay down that halftime shuffle and
because
we normally open the set with Written, and it's like you kind of explosive opening, and then you're all the way through the first and second chorus, and then you break down to this. Just sits in the groove, and that's where like you feel like you're in the gig. For me, that's the point where I kind of go, right, now we're in the show.
This tune also represents the first time I ever discovered I could scream.
Nice.
In the breakdown shuffle section, I was like, what was that? It just came out by accident, really.
Aramanti.
So this track goes back quite a while as well.
It does go track back a while.
This is the first track we ever wrote, and I came up with the intro riff during a jam in Guildford. What's that rehearsal room called?
Live Sound Higher.
Live Sound Higher.
Mike Bamber's place, isn't it?
Mike Bamber.
Shout out to Mike in Guildford.
Bamberino.
What I love about this track is that the very first intro few bars that you hear are the actual original track.
From the first EP.
Yeah.
Primordial Audio Chronicle.
Literally, yes. Dave got it and dumped it at the front of the new version, and it's the same. We didn't do anything else.
Exactly the same. We just sold you the same shit again.
And we'll have you know that all the like Ebo stuff and a few layers in the middle, and even the original guitar tracks are set in this song really quietly.
I didn't know
behind
that.
Everything else.
There are many bits actually that were.
They're just sat in there.
We did redo. Well, we doubled up a lot of bits just because to make it sound consistent.
Two's better than one.
We did Kraken into the Torpedo on one side, and then we did JVM through a cab on the other side.
Yeah, because putting this on the EP was a kind of last minute decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't.
We'd already finished all the tracking for the other tracks.
Yeah.
We had to try and re-get the same drum sound that we got months earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then set up again, and
because
it had to be all done so quick and stuff. Yeah, it was difficult, I guess. But you tracked it to the original stems.
Yeah, so
I think again probably just to save time. It was just kind of like
yeah, because there's no point doing scratch bass and guitar tracks. So yeah, we stripped everything off from the original stems and just left guitar and bass from the original track, and I recorded to that with a click. Funny, yeah. I just remember a funny thing on the drums. I have my main snare and I have my little DW side snare, and I haven't used that for anything in Dorje since recording the original Aeromancy. And we kind of got that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got that little snare and tuned it up and put a load of reverb on it and just basically affected it a bit, and that's the bit in the middle where it kind of all breaks down and goes weird before the heavy breakdown. And so I literally hadn't got that drum out of the case since we tracked the original Aeromancy. It was just sat in my
It's the Aeromancy drum.
And I got it out and brought it to the studio that day, and we came to track that section separately, put it on the stand. I hit it and I was about to start tuning it up and putting some moon gel on, and Dave just goes on the talk back, stop, don't change it, that's perfect. And it literally, I hadn't touched the tuning anything. It was crazy, and it just sounded
That's
great.
credit to DW really.
DW drums.
How many years? There must have been a good couple of years between.
Well, it's 2012 to 2015.
So, so for 3 years,
They must have moved house 3 or 4 times in that time.
Yeah.
3 winters,
hadn't
3
used
summers.
it. And we literally put a mic on it and tracked it, and that was it. And that's the snare sound that you're hearing in the middle bit.
Vocally, I wanted to approach this in a completely different way, because when I first recorded the vocals for this track, it was touch and go, because I'd never really sung before, and I was doing it because I needed to do it, and I didn't have a lot of freedom in my nasal cavity. And I discovered nasal freedom about a year ago through Brett Manning's educational experiences, and so I really felt a lot more open and free with the clean vocals. But then what I wanted to do was keep that Easter egg of the dirty, higher pitched, sort of heated vocals at the end, almost as a kind of a sort of a message to myself to prove that I really could sing high and heated the way I wanted to sing. And I think it worked really well.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks, bro.
I can confirm that I did, in fact, re-record the guitar solo. Because we didn't just copy and paste that bit. That would have been far too easy.
I can also
the thing
confirm.
is, you did re-record everything. It's just that there's little bits that we left in there just because it sounded a bit thicker and fuller than the originals.
I can also confirm that Rabia did some of the backing vocals, and that my wife did not do any of the backing vocals.
I did the ones in the verse.
Despite the fact that everyone online seems to think it's Natasja, it's actually Rabia.
It's actually me. I have no balls. I can sing really high pitched.
Rabia sounds like my wife.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't lazy and I tracked all the bass again.
Well done.
Dave did all the bass again.
Yeah.
Dave did all the bass again.
Dave did all the bass again.
Dave did all the bass again. Catalyst. I recall quite clearly writing the Catalyst intro riff for Red Tower.
Really?
And then showing it to my wife, and she went, "Oh, it's great." And then I stole it straight away for Dorje. And she was really annoyed. But it's a great classic Dorje hook, and one that I really enjoy playing, especially live when we get to the harmony part.
Yeah.
And me and Bea always kind of go, and it feels great. It just feels really good to that bit.
Yeah. And it's, as Ben rightly pointed out, it's the only part on the EP that's in 7/8.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to get a little bit, dive into the world of prog a little bit with an old time signature.
It's funny how I'm so not anti-prog, but I'm not really a prog guy, but all the riffs I write, they're always 6 or 7 or...
Prog.
Yeah. What's wrong with me? I've got a problem.
The verse for this tune was kind of an epic, like it's meant to be like euphoric almost, kind of, and it originally was inspired by a song called Sky Machine by Carnival, and basically Ben was over-inspired and played a very similar drum beat, so we were like, we need to change that because it's not going to work.
But here's the problem, is that I'd written the vocals and the vocal rhythm and the melody and everything with Hannah Bolton, Rabia's, I was going to say wife, but she's your girlfriend, to the original drum beat that Ben had written, not knowing that he'd stolen it. So when Ben then changed it without telling me, I had a bit of a nightmare. What
actually happened was I took 2 tom hits out, and it completely threw off.
No, because in fairness, it's safe to say that the original drum beat was heavily inspired by Sky Machine by Carnival, and then the corrected drum beat was heavily inspired by Attitude by Alien Anthem.
I know that one.
I actually,
love that beat.
Once the drum part changed when we were in the studio, without even talking to you guys, I just decided to change what I was doing on the bass as well.
Yeah.
Because originally I was just playing a bit more of the kind of just following the root note and having a bit more of a pulse to it.
Yeah.
And in the studio I took the creative production decision to add some bass chords with some chorus and delay on it.
I think the first verse is the one part in the entire EP that confuses listeners the most. I think some people find it difficult to tie down the pulse if they're listening on their phone or through a laptop, because without the bass and the kick drum, it's sort of aural trickery, and it tricks you away from where the pulse is. And so a lot of people, when they heard it on their phones and on a laptop, they couldn't detect the pulse. And if you can't, it sounds like the singing is out of tempo and not within and everything, but it really is. You've got to hear the drums and the bass.
Yeah, I mean the groove in the verse deliberately uses a displaced snare, so it's not where you'd expect it to be. And although the hi-hat's stepping in time, the way the groove works is it makes the whole thing feel a bit more jagged.
The pre-chorus is definitely inspired by, I suppose, more rhythmically.
Gent.
Well, so it's not really gent. It's just that those very rhythmical bands, so they use a lot of kind of 5s and 7s overriding the straight grooves and stuff like that. So it was very much just one of those, because it was a certain pattern using those timings that turned into a repeated riff, and that's how it came about.
This song emerged at the same time as another song that we never recorded.
Yeah.
That was called
Collective
Theatre, which I really, really liked, and we never used. Dave wrote the chorus for this tune.
He did. And he slapped it out. We were jamming in a place in near the marina. You wrote it in...
Was it there?
Was it that little tiny dive hole?
Yeah, and we were writing there.
Is that what happened?
We were in that little hole in the side of the marina.
Let me just explain how much of a hole this place was. All the heads were chained with chain to the cabinets, so you couldn't walk off with them.
And can I just also say, what was amazing like that was when I was told, who was it who found the studio? I'm sure it was
me.
Was it you?
Yeah.
The way Bill was like, I found this rehearsal studio. It's set into the side of the cliffs, over the sea. I was like, that's gonna be amazing. We got there. It was like a damp
giant sack of shit.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But then we got to the point in the song we got stuck, and Dave went, "Well, I have a riff," and he played it, and it fit perfectly. So that's what happened.
And that's the chorus.
The riff after the second chorus, where basically the riff that the guitar solo is over, was an old riff of mine from our first band, Chasing Jade, that was written in 2007. It's just a random riff that I had that fit perfectly with the songs.
Which bit are you talking about?
It's a very old riff, and it fit with the vibe of Catalyst so well that it stuck with it, and then the guitar solo was put over the top of that.
Well, lyrically, it's basically a diary of my life from the last 3 years.
So some heavy stuff.
Some heavy shit. It's not good.
I really like the towards the end of the guitar solo when the sort of the feel of it changes for that one bar of triplet. Remember when we were writing this and I tracked the demo on my electric kit and I was just playing and you'd written that. I remember when I twigged it and then played that that was really cool. I like the way it just pops out.
This was quite a fun one to produce, particularly vocally.
Yeah.
Like me and Beer had lots of fun chopping up vocals and pitch shifting things, and
we sat and glitched it for about 3 hours, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Guitar solo wise, it was kind of, again, probably a Nuno inspired solo in the sense that it's going for something of more of a melodic, not anthemic guitar solo, but uplifting, I'd say, with rhythmic hooks in the lead, in the fast bits. They're all sort of rhythmic patterns as opposed to out and out shred. Take that, rewind it back. Chaper's got the voice to make your booty go.
This song is incredibly dark. It's an introspective lyrical journey about me just doing some shit that I wasn't very happy about doing and then getting out of the shit that made me a bit happier. It's a very difficult one to sing live because whenever you write lyrics that are real as opposed to lyrics that are just a story, you're kind of reliving it on stage, and I think it's important to do that to give a real performance, and I found that quite difficult with all. But the cool thing is that I wrote the opening riff and verse part at the NAMM show 2013? 2014 on a hot rod, Chapman ML1 hot rod, and I brought it to the guys and said, I've written this riff, but I haven't got a fucking clue where it goes after this story section at the beginning. It was like a kind of just the whole thing felt like it was the beginning of something, but I couldn't tell what it was. And then I improvised some lyrics, and they went, I think we kind of get it, and then Bia kind of wrote the rest.
I was absolutely vibing Mastodon / Alice in Chains on this song. The two sounds I was trying to get with the chord progressions and stuff like that were that, essentially. It was, funnily enough, with this song, difficult to write. It was written in 3 distinct chunks. We have the main riff, which Rob did, and then the choruses and that I did, pre-chorus and the main riff that Rob did, but then the middle eight, the chuggy breakdown that Rob came up with, but I decided to turn it into a more Mastodon sound, and so that's why it goes through those different kind of feels. Do you know what I mean? It's like a breakdown, and then it's more swung, and it does the Mastodon thing.
I really enjoy the really simple but effective pentatonic vocal melody at the chorus. There's something about it that just has like it's about breaking through pain and anger at yourself, and the melody speaks of that too for me in the chorus.
Is that one of the ones that we worked on in the studio, trying to simplify it?
It was drawing it out so all the words were connected.
Yeah, because originally I would sing, "Oh, you gave was everything," and they were like, "Could you do that in one breath?" And I'm like, "What the?" Well, yeah, I'm sure that'll be really easy.
It becomes more anthemic though.
And before, it did. It absolutely worked. But what was kind of funny is I remember one gig in London. This is when I was really learning about vocal technique and SLS and sort of sparing your breath and using enough volume that the mic picks it up and it sounds great, but you're not killing yourself. And at one point, singing this and Centered and One, I went down on one knee and it looked like a really cool kind of stage move, but actually I just blacked out.
We nearly passed out.
Yeah, mid the word everything. Probably only for like half a second, but I literally went down on one knee screaming that, and then came to and was like, okay, that pushed a little bit too hard on the word everything.
How was the drums in the middle bit at the end?
Well, I think like as a whole, when we were writing this, I think this is the song that I got the least originally. You know, like when we were looking at all of our songs, I think I didn't really find a way into the song for a while. I mean, I had my parts, but I knew they weren't refined. And then when we got actually into pre-production and started putting stuff together and started really looking at the parts, once they'd really locked in, and I think this track is about having that power and the like not too many frills, but also having a few cool moments in the verses and stuff. Like there's a lot that you could pick up on and play drums wise. We really wanted to kind of lock it down, and then as it kind of this is like the drum moment of the EP is the end of the track, where like Beer said, it's kind of goes from these different breakdown feels. You've got the big breakdown, and then you've got like this swung kind of Mastodon, Black Sabbath kind of vibe, I guess, and then it just kind of goes.
Danny Carey.
Yeah, definitely feeling the Danny Carey Tool influence at the end.
It's really interesting to me how during the process of writing the parts and being involved for you, the feel wasn't really there until the end, and then in the video there's so much Ben Meinl feel. You get more Meinl face than you've ever equipped yourself for.
You mean on the music video?
Yeah, you were like absolute feel central.
Interestingly enough, this song was broken into 3 chunks on the recording.
Yeah.
And the middle bit was slowed down by, was it 2 BPM?
Yes.
Beep, bam,
Yeah.
bam.
The middle bit we slowed down. After the second pre-chorus with the 4-part harmonies, we stopped, and that was the first chunk of the song recorded. Then we slowed it down 2 BPM, recorded the middle, and then it goes back to the main chorus again.
Yeah, that was interesting to track because.
But you never know on the recording.
No, but it's funny when you compare having that tempo change to not having the tempo change. It definitely needs it.
Yeah.
It just felt a little bit too pacey. Well,
So there are some parts on the track all that people mistake for being guitar, but actually it's strings.
Violin.
We had some friends, what they called?
Jem and Malk. Jem was actually the string player, but Malk, who is Jem's husband, did the audio recording and I guess probably a bit of the production of it.
Yeah.
They've done a few bits mainly for the next EP.
Yeah, they'll feature more in EP 2.
But if you listen to the breakdown and all, especially when Dave does his like bass harmonic, bing, that's my favourite part of the video. You'll hear and that's strings.
Yeah, well, because we actually, I never actually got the sessions off them.
No,
because we kind of ran out of time and all that sort of stuff. So actually, the strings that are there are what I had to do to isolate the strings out, because they basically sent over the track as I think even as an MP3. It might be in a WAV, I can't remember now.
Just a demo,
but it
wasn't
was in a mix for us to listen to, because we were still working
the rest
on
of
the
the
idea.
track.
That bit was awesome. So what I did was I I got the bounce that I sent to them to record to, and then inverted the phase of the version that they sent me, cancelled out the backing track, and leave me with just a stereo bounce of just the strings.
Dave.
And that's what's in the version that everyone's got.
Yeah, Dave.
Phase cancellation.
Phase Hollingworth.
Phase Hollingworth.
Wind
I couldn't get high enough.
Dave, you heard it here first. Dave can't get high enough. Sorry, Dave, that was funny.
I'm just going to go out there and say that White Dove, personally for me, is, I hope homage is the right word, or basically that's me paying my respects to Nuno Bettencourt for being the best guitarist in the world.
Homage.
No, it's fucking not. Don't be stupid.
It's pronounced homage.
No, it's not.
It's a Japanese word. It's homage.
That's what it was from us.
If anybody, just seriously, if anybody that knows Nuno, well, we know somebody that does, but if they know Nuno, could you tell him how much Revere is in love with him?
Well, I don't think he'll ever have heard White Dove, but I hope that if Nuno ever hears this song, that he will go, "Wow, I influenced someone." Like, I don't mean that in any egotistical sense of the word, but just like if I was Nuno and a band sent a song over that was like definitely inspired by the way you play, it'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I'd file a lawsuit.
I was going to say, I'd sue them.
This probably is one of the songs that goes down the best live. I don't think it's because it's very Dorje, but just it's kind of anthemic.
It's tongue in cheek as well.
Yeah,
like,
it is tongue in cheek. It's a bit 80s.
It's a little bit like, you know how Steel Panther do their thing really well. It's our kind of going, we can do the kind of riff rock from the 80s and 90s as well. Like that's what we cut our teeth doing. At least us as guitar players.
My favourite part is at the end when we all go, White Dove!
Yeah.
Oh,
actually, that's got Diz and his brother.
And me and Dave and Rob.
Yeah, we didn't have Ben though.
And on the third one, Rob is actually shouting White Dave.
He is.
I did shout White Dave because I thought it was funny.
And that is still there.
It is still there. You can hear Rob shout White Dave.
What's even funnier is that Ben screamed White Dove live. we had a recording of it, and it did sound a little bit like Harry Potter having his first orgasm. So we stole that from being a thing. You're just too good, Ben.
It was the fact it was like, White Dove! And you were like, I thought I was going for it. That's really sad. What was I going to say? Quick history. A quick brief where it came from was I was jamming in my room, playing some Extreme.
This is during the time of Toesland?
No, yes. I was playing some Extreme, writing some shit, and it came out in one go. And then
was that the song or
the song just came out in one go, like from start to finish. Right. And I can tell you it's Extreme and Incubus. Extreme for the main riff choruses and the verses, Incubus for the middle eight, Morning View period. And it came out in one go. We programmed the drums, and then Dave did the bass, and then basically showed it to the guys, and then it basically became the song.
Bass.
As it pretty much sounds like a really sick, awesome, proper band version of the demo that was originally written, which is really cool because
this is the only one that was written so like up front by you in full. Like, I mean, pretty much everything is that. I mean, you just kind of had a vibe to the tune.
It's just Beer just took a giant 80s dump, and then we absorbed it. And it's just like wear your influences on your sleeve.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
And the guitar solo was, I just got my PRS Custom 24, and I was at home, and I just made a solo, and then sent it to everyone and asked them if it was okay, and everyone unanimously said it was. So that's cool. And
the little blues solo I did at the beginning is an ML3 traditional through a Victory Silverback on the middle position, I think.
Tell them about them.
What's that?
That tune.
Oh yeah! So you know the little clean blues solo, basically Rabia's parents had just emigrated to Spain, and I thought it was such a cool thing for them to do, that I had in my mind a classic Spanish tune that goes da na 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 na, and I just put the very first part of that in the solo.
The Dragon made that particularly special.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you realised that you you were puppeteering at the same time.
Yes.
It
was the hardest tune to sing on the EP for me because it was. I mean, I've
It's
got
the
quite
highest tune, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's the only tune on the EP that's
In E flat.
not dropped. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I had to learn to sing higher.
My favourite bit is when Rob loses it. It's like he loses his temper right at the very end of.
The scream.
Yeah. And it's just, it breaks up and it sounds like a real intense, angry scream. That's my favourite bit.
What you're hearing there is me learning to use false chord and to back off the breath so that you get that heated sound. It's all perfectly safe as long as you get educated lessons from someone. It's good.
Ben, why do you like playing this song so much?
I think because of the groove, and like when it's just a powerhouse, and we normally play it last in the set, and so like for me it just feels, once you start that tune it feels like a home run already. Like particularly if you've had a good gig, and I remember playing this live on the last tour in the lead show, and it was an absolute belter. We had such a good gig, and the crowd was just going mental, and when we were just kicking in, it was like because you have a bit of breathing room to like just kind of play in that snare flam. And just looking out on everyone, I was like, this is really cool.
It's the tune that I've seen the most people either push each other around to, break glasses with, just stare. But all sorts of random behaviours emerge in people when they're watching us play this tune. It's pretty good fun.
Also, it's just a great riff. Like, there's so many people that have just covered it and stuck their own. Them playing along to it and stuff like that. It's
and
just
live.
Like that said, it's really difficult to do on bass because the string spacing is so far.
Nothing's difficult for you, Dave. And live, it's really good fun to go from listening to Rage Against the Machine, Bullet in the Head.
Oh yeah.
Which we do a lot of the time.
And play the riff upside down as
well.
Play
the riff upside down, but at gigs now sometimes, the last 2 tours, one of the shows on the tour, I'll just decide to go into Bullet in the Head at the end when there's the break and the riff is on its own. And I've done it twice without the guys knowing, and it's really funny to watch the reactions because they've got enough time to go, oh, I see what he's doing, let's go and play it.
Yeah.
But when I do it, every time Ben like looks like he's about to fall off his stool with excitement.
I'm like, I love this bit.
The bit where we're not playing a Dorje thing.
Yay!
So the Catalyst EP is about change. It's about taking the 4 of us from our different directions and areas and bringing something forward that was the beginning of change for our band. And I think it really worked because it did so much better than any of us ever imagined it ever would do.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's important to say how grateful we are that everyone bought a copy, listens to it, streams it, enjoys it, shares it. It's all greatly appreciated.
It's crazy, really.
It's literally made the difference for some of us between paying rent or not.
That's not a lie.
That's an absolute fact. So thank you very, very much, and we really hope you've enjoyed this running commentary on some of the tunes.
I hope it was insightful.
Yes. There's another EP coming out. What's the date for that EP, Dave Hollingworth?
I don't know.
There is no date.
Ben Minor.
There's no date.
Rabia Massad.
Soon.
The soon of soonth.
Soonth.
The soonth of soon, 20 soon.
Yes. So I look forward to that. This was the Catalyst EP. The EP coming forward and being delivered to you is Centred and One.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Centred and one, it's gonna be fun. Centred and one, what a great song. Centred and one, I can't wait to have Centred. Ha ha ha.